Agenda review and disposition.
I got a few things.
All right.
Do need a non-public session for personnel. Long-term sub. Everything else I think we're all set.
Any corrections or additions to the minutes of December 13th?
I have one small correction. It's just a typo under the Policy and Budget Committee reports. It says, as possible to the settlers' original charitable purpose, and settlers is just spelled wrong, that's all. That's all I have. Thank you.
So with those correct, with that correction, the minutes stand approved as written. Mr. Howard?
Everything I have is contained in other parts of the agenda.
Reed?
All right. This student report is going to cover the next month, as the next school board meeting falls during midterms, and I will not be attending because of that, and I feel it would be inappropriate for me to ask another student to take my place as well. So without further ado, on Wednesday, January 11th, the math team will be at a meet at Merrimack Valley High School. Thursday, January 12th, the midterm exams begin. On Saturday, January 14th, Granite State Challenge will make their first TV appearance. On Monday, January 16th, there will be no school because we observe Martin Luther King Jr. Day. On Wednesday, January 18th, quarter 2 ends, and quarter 3 begins on Thursday, January 19th. The Lakes Region Music Festival will be held here at Plymouth Regional High School on Saturday, January 21st. Quarter 2 grades are due Tuesday, January 24th. Move-up night for 8th graders is Monday, January 30th at 6 p.m. And the Jazz All-State Music Festival is at Pinkerton from Thursday, February 2nd to Saturday, February 4th. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Reed?
Just if somebody, is there a day off mid-January? Do we have a Martin Luther King Day?
Yes, we do.
Did you mention that? I'm
I
sorry,
did.
what day was that, Reed?
Monday the 16th.
Monday, during midterms, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Parsons?
We did a great job. We bumped one day in the midterms because of the no school. So that'll bump us one day. But other than that, it'll be the same midterm schedule we followed last year too. The kids will be taking 2 midterms. They have a review for both exams. They take 2 exams, and I think the bus picks them up at 12:50 or 1 o'clock that they'll be released. So it's the same exact schedule as we did last year. Other than that, I'll refer to Reed. Thank you.
So committee meetings, the committee,
I did hear something on TV about,
sorry,
Maya, what was it, Jordan Meyer got some kind of an award, student of the week or something like that.
Athlete of the week.
Athlete of the week. It was very good coverage.
MURPB.
Yeah, it was very good coverage.
I didn't know that. Sorry.
Very good coverage.
Four sport
Fourth sport?
athlete, yeah. She has track.
Yeah.
so committee meetings are February, none this month, but February 20th, 5 o'clock here. How about SCC?
I believe we're next Monday, January 9th.
January 9th? Okay, so that meeting is Monday the 9th. Right. Discussion items. CTE update?
Yes. Chris Solomon will be here for your budget hearing, and he has put together a great package for you, and then we'll use that tonight as part of the budget hearing. Also be an opportunity for you to critique that package, and so that the final product that will be used in information for informational purposes, you'll get a chance to sort of edit that before it goes out. The numbers don't change, but the format and some of the things that are in there. But I think they've done a terrific job. The issue that the architectural firm is waiting to hear is how the board wants to do outreach. Phil has offered to be a part of that, but you all know your communities better than we do. So I guess the question to the board is, how would you like to, what do you think is the most effective way to do outreach into the communities? Is it to talk to at a selectmen's meeting? Is it to go to the local school board meeting and be a part of that meeting? How would you like to get that the word out that the project is underway, along with what will be done on Channel 3 on a constant basis, but the real live presentation to the 7 sending towns.
Thoughts from anyone?
No, thought, I'm not capable of that, but.
Your opinion? Then?
Questions. Have you seen a presentation yet?
No. The presentation, quite frankly, will be tonight. You'll get all the pieces tonight. Chris Solomon will be here, going over the scope of the project, the physical scope of the project, and also the budget of the project. Dan Rossner will be here tonight to go over tax impact town by town basis. And so it's those sorts of things that we will shape, put together to be sort of a project that sort of a presentation, that you would have in the communities. They don't have to be all the same for all the communities. I mean, if some community is tell us about the finances, then that'll be heavy on finances. If some community is tell us about the scope of the project, we're excited about what you're doing with the building, the focus of that meeting can be the focus of the building. What we want to do is get information to people and the information that they want, so that they make
But is it going to be, you mentioned Channel 3.
Yes.
How will that presentation be?
Well, it could be a couple of things. It could be the budget hearing tonight, the bond hearing, any of those presentations will keep running. Also, you could do an interview, you could do a tour of the existing building. I mean, Channel 3 has been very gracious in terms of, tell us what you'd like to do, and we'll work with Lena and the kids here to put something together. So it can really be anything. I guess our question to you is, what do you think will be the most effective thing and most effective way to articulate this in your communities?
Yes.
I think for one thought I have is we tend to have small turnouts at the various local meetings, and maybe if I were to go to a selectmen's meeting and give them just a basic info, find out what the questions are, and then, get back and say, here's what people are looking to find out more about. That's kind of my thought.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would be looking for that would be, kind of a summary sheet.
The handouts. Yep.
Yeah.
Take a look at them tonight, Bernie, and see what you think, and then we can put them together, or as many as you want, and edit some if you say, well, this is a little too much, I just need this. Whatever you think you see tonight that would be helpful, we're happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bill?
I think I agree with Brent. I don't know many board meetings I've ever been at where, unless there's a major controversy, anyone comes. So we need to fabricate a controversy to get people to come, which is not a good idea, I don't think. But how about like the service clubs in the different communities? I know you mentioned Ashland in the past. They used to have, I don't know, it was a Women's Garden Society or something.
Garden Club.
And that tended to be relatively active.
Yeah.
Is it worth trying to reach out to the Rotaries, whatever groups there are? Because they may be the people that would come and vote, and if I'd volunteer to be one to attend.
Okay.
Just if you need that.
Yeah. No, I know Bruce has talked with Rotary.
Yeah, they've invited me, the Rotarians have invited me, and that was going to be part of my presentation. I was going to bring down the drawings and go over the programs. And once you guys had made the final arrangements for the financial piece, I'd have that information for them too. So they had asked me to come down and do a presentation.
You get more people at those meetings than
Yep.
you go to, like you said,
No, I agree with you.
You get more at the Fishing Game Club, that's pretty popular too, actually.
Is there, yeah?
Yeah, I guess it is pretty active. I mean, neither fishing nor gaming, but I hear it's pretty active.
I
think the Record Enterprise is still really well-read, and a number of articles there would probably be helpful.
Okay.
Regarding the Women's Club in Ashland, Ann Reaver, former member of this board, has been very active in that group. I don't know whether she still is or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she still is. Find out usually enough.
She would know who is.
All the schools active, they still have active PTAs. But
We can touch base with the principals to see what's the best way to get the information into the elementary schools and offer to come to one of the, sometimes they have principal roundtables or PTA meetings on a monthly basis, and we can certainly see if we can get on those agendas also. I mean, those are the folks, the younger parents are the folks that have the biggest stake in this. This is going to be their building. So,
I know that we try to put everything up on our website in bulletins. I don't know what the other towns tend to do, but I know a lot of people will go to the town website to look for information on
Yep.
key dates and everything, so.
we'll certainly have it up on this website. We generally will put it both places, the SAU and the high school.
How about the town website?
And the town
too?
websites.
Okay.
The town websites, I think.
I can ask the town if they're, all the
League,
towns,
if
if they're
nothing
interested.
else, yeah.
Sure.
And
Well, do all the communities in the district access the same cable?
A lot do. I wouldn't say that they all do, because I don't know that for a fact, but a lot are on Time Warner.
Yeah.
And I don't know about those folks that have Dish and some of these alternative things. I don't know if Channel 3 is on that sort of thing.
If you're on 25, you have access to cable, otherwise, you know,
it Time
DirecTV
Warner?
or something like that. What's that?
Is it Time Warner cable?
Yes.
I think that's equivalent. Romney used to have grassroots cable or something, but I think they switched over to Time Warner too.
Most of those little first generation
Yep.
systems have been either bought up or
Yep.
went out of business.
I'm also hoping that when we go to these different women's club, PTAs, whatever, that there will be a board representative from Plymouth, from Ashland, at each of those meetings.
Okay, we'll work with the architects to, as you know, part of their contract was the marketing piece of this, so we'll work with them, put a schedule together, and then alert you to anything that may be in your, we'll alert you to the whole thing, but particularly if it's it's going to be in your community, we'll make sure that you're well aware of it. All right?
All right.
Thank you.
Budget hearing preparation.
Yes, I have a folder for all of you. It contains a lot of information. So what we'll do is just sort of to go through it and make a decision how we're going to present tonight.
Oh, you get your own.
Thank you.
24th?
I think it's,
17th.
I have to check.
It's the first day back from Martin Luther King Day. I don't recall us moving a meeting.
We'll check on the next date. Let me walk through and just introduce you to the material that is in here. Some of it you saw through the process, some of it has been updated due to changes in the budget. First page is that general overview. somebody walks into the meeting, this gives them a general sense of what has changed and some of the impact. Also have a range of the tax rate impact from Ashland to Rumney, and then the rest of the data is continued later on. So you have the assessment, appropriations highlight, faculty and staff, and then some of the changes highlighted. Also, you'll note at the bottom, it was noted that hockey's been put into the budget. The goldenrod sheet that you have in front of you, that is the assessment itself. That's how, so if someone walks in tonight and says, what's the impact on this in my town? If you're from Holderness, your assessment is going to be up $18,800, 0.7%. And the impact on your tax rate would be 3 cents, 0.71%. And then obviously the other towns, you can just read similarly. The pink sheet is the proposed warrant articles. First one is for the bond. By law, the bond has to be first. The second is authorization to execute tuition contracts. Article 3 is authorized special ed borrowing. Article 4 is school board contingency. Article 5 is the proposed agreement with the teachers. Article 6 is the operating budget, and the number for the default budget. And then the back of that is a brief explanation of the warrant articles. And those explanations we tried to squeeze on one page, so when you produce your book, someone could bring the book into the voting box with them and understand what they have in front of them.
Just ask a clarification question.
Pardon?
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
How do you come up with the $104,000 for the special ed borrowing? Where does that number come from?
It's just historically a number that we've used. So it's been $100,000.
Always done that, right?
It's been
When it
100.
was 208.
1 year we cut the budget. So it's been $100,000 and then $4,000 for interest payment if we needed to borrow the money. The budget itself that you have. The next one is the default budget, and that is if they say no to the proposed budget, then you automatically get the default. You do have an opportunity to have another meeting if you want under the law. This has never happened to us, but that's an option that you have. But that night, we would be operating, beginning July 1st. If we didn't have a meeting, we'd be operating with the default budget. The green sheet is the revenue estimates. Another goldenrod color. That is current stats, faculty administrators for the FY18 budget. We take them back to fiscal year 9, where we had 77.7 full-time employees, and you can see that was with 803 students, up to our estimate this year with 690 students in FY18, and we are proposing 67.2 full FTEs. And that's the professional staff, and then the support staff is very similar. So this shows folks how many people work in each part of the budget, and it's a pretty good comparison as you look down the years to see. One of the great myths out there is that the budget keeps going up and they still have the same number of people they had when they were X amount of it. It's just a standard line that you hear, when in fact all that data is right there for you and shows you our FTEs. Next green sheet. This is the history of your unreserved fund balance. And over, since 1990, when the district was formed, you have sent back as surplus to the taxpayers almost $3.2 million.
Mark, can I ask you a question about that? How is that dispersed on the same formula back to the towns that?
No, it's just used as a revenue. It doesn't go anywhere. It's the cash stays with us, and it's used as a revenue for the following year, so you raise that
It
amount of
stays
money.
in the school
Stays right
district.
in our treasury. Cash stays there. Then the following year, we don't raise that amount of money from the proposed budget.
Gotcha.
The theory being, if you took it out and gave it back to them, you'd just be asking it back again 6 months later
Right.
under the formula.
And for whatever reason, at our elementary school, it goes back to the town.
Well, that's what they say. It stays in the school treasury. Theoretically, it goes back because you're raising that amount of money less the following budget year. So people will say, yeah, that money went back to the town. The town meant the school district. Doesn't go to the select. You have the history of medical rates. Every once in a while, this pops up, and that's just informational for you. And if you look at 19 years of medical rate histories, then you look at our rates went up 8.75% on average annually. And you can see some doozy years there where we went up 27%, and other years where we went down 8.3%. You can just see the fluctuation of medical rates. But it's interesting, it's annualized at 8.75% over 19 years. And then the pool average is 8.69, so we're right around where the pool is actually at. So we're at average of average. And so that's the packet. Those materials will be available tonight. They're also available on the, right now, the SAU website. We couldn't get them on the high school website. We need to work with Lena on that.
So the goldenrod sheet is just the core budget. It does not include if the two articles pass, one for the CTE renovations and the other for the teachers' contract.
Yes, that's right. The CTE renovation would have no impact on next year's tax rate. It's the out years that would begin. And we have that data for the hearing.
And if the, do we have the calculations if the article passes for the teacher's contract?
I can quickly do that, yeah.
Well, they're in your warrant.
The gross amount, but not to the individual towns.
No.
You could take
Take
the
it with
gross.
it and multiply times the,
You're gonna make me do my own math?
yes,
Is that what you're saying?
yes I am.
Okay.
Well, you know what?
I can do that.
I
If you-
found the guy from college, absolutely.
If you ask the question, then we'll have a sheet that says that, because somebody else may ask it, so we can do that.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those schools.
We're all the same.
Mark, one quick thing. This morning I was listening to NPR and it was very early and I was very sleepy, but
Yep.
I thought I heard them say that the state aid for building projects was around 60%. So I wasn't sure if that was something else. I
Well, there's
thought it was
no
school
state
projects.
aid for building projects right now.
Yeah.
None, zero.
You might have been
Okay.
sleepy.
They may have been talking about history, and they may have been talking about an individual district.
I think they were talking about an individual
Yeah.
district.
There are proposals now in the legislature that the legislature will take up. And the incoming governor-elect has said bringing building aid back is a priority of his, so we're looking forward to that. I don't think it will be a blanket, if you pass it, we'll give you building aid. I think there's going to be some criteria that's tested. I think there'll be a pool of money, and I think my understanding is the way some of the bills that people really like, basically they want to take care of those communities that have significant safety issues and those sorts of things first, rather than building turf fields for wealthy communities in the southern tier.
Yeah, Woodsville was cited today in
There's there
the legislative bulletin.
Yeah, there are an awful lot of buildings in some significant need. Fortunately for us, the voters have understood that we got in on the last call of the last building aid. So we have done nothing since building aid stopped, but our buildings are in pretty good shape, other than the CTE. Now, the question that people will have for CTE, they'll say, Halloran, I just heard you on television say there's no building aid. There's no building aid for the state of New Hampshire, but there is building aid for vocational centers, CTE centers. That's money the state gets from the federal government to keep up those programs, and that's being funded at 75%. And that's the proposal we have tonight. So it'll be, you know, we run a federal deficit of $20 trillion. How long is that building aid going to be available? So I think one of our pitches, my pitch will be, you know, we did the right thing a few years ago when the state of New Hampshire was sort of saying last call on building aid. You know, no one's saying last call at the federal level, but certainly at some point there'll be a last call. But it's an opportunity to, for the portions of the project that are eligible, it's our chance to get 75% of federal aid, state aid on it. Now the state calls it state aid, and so you'll hear me say state aid when in fact the monies come from the federal government to the state.
There is no way, Mark, that we can identify in Article 1 or some way to put maybe some explanation. Okay, it is. State building aid of 75% will be received in qualifying portions of the project.
Yeah, and the number is in there too.
I just hope that people...
Well, that'll be part of our pitch over the next 2 months, is to say, you know, almost $5 million of this is being paid for. You know, we have fixed the roof, and we've done other things in here that would qualify, for that aid, but we had to do it because we had to do it now. So no, we can't recoup those monies. But what will happen is if this proposal doesn't pass, you know, John has a list and a half of things that, you know, the fire chief would like addressed and other things. We'll be paying $1 on $1 for those projects that need to be addressed if we don't pass this as a community. So
Can that go on the executive summary sheet too?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, if we're not allowed to put this part, 75%, on the actual article itself, can we put the explanations first?
Well, when we used to get to set the book up, so it's on the opposite side. So
Opposite page.
your ballot may be on the left, and your explanations are on the right.
All right.
That was one of the big issues last time. The feedback that I heard was they saw the $10 million figure. It didn't have any concept of what percentage the district was actually going to be responsible for.
Yeah. One of the other issues, in fairness to the town of Ashland, was they had a proposal to buy back the high school to be used as a library, and I know there was some hard feelings about that. That was also Article 1 on the Ashland ballot, and so there were signs out saying vote no on Article 1, and I think we got caught up in some of that, at least at Ashland. But who knows, as people see signs and see things in the paper about vote no on Article 1. So hopefully, you know, I know we're the only school that has anything going on, so hopefully Article 1 is here. Because generally Article 1 in town meetings and things is election of officers, so that's going to go on if you vote yes or no.
So any questions for Mark?
It really becomes, Madam Chair, about how Mr. Deitchman and the Budget Committee want to do the presentation tonight. If you want to start with the warrant articles and then work your way down the warrant articles and ask questions about it, and then the budget becomes the last thing that you talk about. But you get an awful lot of conversation about the bond. And Chris Solomon will be here. He's going to speak to the whole layout and the budget. And as I said, John Francis will also be here, and Dan Rossner will be here to do tax rate impacts. So I think we have that covered.
So we'll just start with Article 1 and go down through.
And let them
Yep.
use this as an opening opportunity to do a presentation.
Yep.
Okay.
I think you're really going to like what Chris and Ward and the gang have put together, too.
Good.
All right. Any other business? Do I hear a motion to go into non-public for personnel? Peter, seconded by Maureen. Thank you.